Hi, I'm Andrew Rich, and if you're like me, you look at the state of modern wrestling discourse and think, wow, what a cesspool. That's why I'm here to tell you about Music of the Mat Remix. That's right, your favorite wrestling music podcast is back with a new format, where I bring on a guest and we play songs related to wrestling-themed topics. It could be a wrestling reference, a wrestling concept, a wrestling pun, things of that nature. Now you might be saying, Andrew, that is a very, very tenuous connection to pro wrestling on a wrestling podcast network. Is this just an excuse to hang out with your friends and talk about music and ignore the rest of the wrestling landscape? Yes. Yes, it is. So listen to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast player of choice.
Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-Star Match Game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney, and every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care. Go to Dutch.com to get vet care that is always there for just $92 a year.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. I'm your host, Andrew Rich, joined today by a first-time guest here on the show. I know him from the VOW Discord. It's DJ Convoy. Hello, DJ.
Howdy, Rich. Andrew, it's incredible to meet you. I guess, first time, long time. Listened to the show, obviously, in its original incarnation forever, and I've certainly enjoyed the remix edition, and I was puzzled as to why you wanted to talk to me on the show. I'm probably familiar to a couple of your listeners, I would suppose, but I'm a fairly anonymous presence in the greater internet wrestling community, but that's perfectly fine. I'm really honored that you decided to ask me to be on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I see you in the show channel. Yeah. In the Discord there, so I figured you like and listen to the show, so I might as well ask you. But
a passing interest in music, sure.
Yeah, but usually when I have on someone from the Discord, I ask them where they got their username from. So where does DJ Convoy come from? Because it could be a real name. So
it's obviously. I get asked that a lot, and the first question is always, are you a real DJ? The answer, sadly, fraudulence count number 1, the answer is no. DJ Convoy is an extremely oblique, lame reference to the Transformers, Convoy being the name of Optimus Prime in Japan. The DJ part, too long to go into, but it's been my internet screen name for pretty much anything I've ever done online since roughly the year 2000. So kind of stuck, kind of here, kind of there it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my guess was like you're an 18-wheeler themed musician, spinning records, hauling freight. It's a winning gimmick for sure. So,
well, I mean that certainly could be a future endeavor of mine. I have fooled around, for friends, setting up playlists for weddings. I've certainly practiced being a DJ. Interminable, teenage years filled with set lists and beds to play out on. But no, sadly, I've even been asked that like on job interviews. Oh, DJ Convoy at such and such dot whatever. Oh, are you a DJ? No. Sorry. Oh, what does it mean? Do you really want to explain your lifelong devotion to a toy brand to, somebody? Probably not. But yeah, there you are.
Cool. Well, today, DJ, we are doing an episode called Rematch Clause. Oh, the dreaded rematch clause. A booking trope that has been used time and time again. A wrestler loses their title, and instead of having to work their way back to the belt, they say, I have a rematch clause, and they get another shot at it. It's an easy and lazy way to book a second match. And speaking of seconds, this episode we're going to be playing songs from second albums. I did the first episode of the remix format in Ring Debuts with Maura Johnston, where we played songs from debut albums. Well, this is the follow-up to that. It's the rematch of sorts. And I mentioned on that episode how important the debut album is, because the debut introduces you to the world. It sets the tempo. It gets the ball rolling. But with the second album, oftentimes it's even more crucial to get it right, because now there are expectations, from fans and critics. Now there's a bar you have to clear, and anticipation and hope and excitement. And we've seen plenty of examples of the sophomore slump, where the second album doesn't live up to the hype from the first one. But we've also seen plenty of examples of the sophomore surge, where the second album is actually better than the debut. And then there are cases where it takes a band like 7 or 8 albums to break out. It's
Sure.
It's not the easiest thing to predict where it's going to go. That's for sure, DJ.
Yeah, and when you approached me with the topic, I immediately kind of went to the negative side of things, thinking like, oh yeah, I've got to find albums that were just a terrible misstep, just a complete car crash of an album. That's not really what I ended up presenting to you. I just really ended up going for albums that I liked, and I was like, well, maybe another time we can approach, some of the more strangled in the crib second albums possibly. And the more I think about it, almost every album I selected not only is like a sophomore effort, well, obviously they're all sophomore efforts. Each one is like a seminal record. Like almost each one is an incredibly influential, incredibly important to the history of music type album. So yeah, the sophomore surge is very much a real thing.
For sure. And look at wrestling, it's the same thing. How many times have wrestling fans said, oh, this match was great, but the rematch from a few months later, even better. Or,
Sure.
I love the first match, but the second match, it's not as good. It happens all the time. And it happens with people talking about the same match, too. That's the frustrating thing about working in a subjective medium like wrestling. You can take a match and you can build on it for the rematch and do all sorts of callbacks to spots and sequences in the first one and tell stories that way. You can also do something completely different, like a gimmick match. And no matter what you do, someone's probably going to be disappointed. Same in music. Like, you can do a second album that sounds just like the first one that people loved, and the complaints will be, it's too samey. You can also do an album that sounds completely different from the first one. New sounds, new production. The complaints will be, it's too different from the first one. So you just can't win, 100% of the way. You just have to get in the ring, get in the studio, do the work, and put it out there, and hope that someone likes it, DJ. Yeah.
That's true. I feel like, we placed an awful lot of expectation on some of our musical heroes, for lack of a better term. And the sophomore album, of course, is probably the ultimate expression of that, when you consider that, it's really easy to fall on your face. It's really easy for critical opinion. A couple of the albums I picked, certainly, were not well received critically. until, you know, further looking back on a couple of the picks here I'm looking at. People didn't know what to make of a couple of these records, but now, you know, 30 years on, they're like, oh, classics, and it's kind of like, well, I lived through a couple of these, and I don't know. I don't know if it was considered that way at that time.
We'll get to those for sure, yeah. But let's get to the music here. We have 10 songs each and a play-out song at the end. DJ, you are the guest. You'll go first. What's your first pick?
Thank you, sir. The first one is probably one of the most famous sophomore records of all time. We're looking at Nevermind. We're looking at Something in the Way, and we're looking at, of course, Nirvana.
Underneath the bridge, top has sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped have all become my pets, and I'm living off of grass and the drippings from the ceiling. It's okay to eat fish, 'cause they don't have any feelings. Something in the way, something in the way, yeah. Something in the way.
All right, and that was Something in the Way. Obviously, you know, from Nevermind, one of the most just titanically colossal albums of all time. And the funny thing was, you know, in 1991, I would have been probably 13 or so. I didn't really love this album back then. Of all people, my mom bought the album and was really into it. And it took me a while to get on board, to be perfectly honest. But it's like clearly Kurt Cobain at his most miserable. But that's not like an indictment. It's just an expression of his feelings. The song famously is, you know, alluding to like his homelessness and running around and stuff. It's a little overblown in that lyrical content. Some people take it a bit literally. He didn't really live underneath a bridge. He wasn't, you know, feasting on box turtles or what have you. He definitely was, you know, couch surfing with friends. He definitely was, you know, there's an element of truth to it, of course, but I mean, you can just kind of feel the desperation kind of pouring off of it. I think it's a haunting song. I think it's got the orchestral, the cello particularly on it, and I guess it was like a real pain when they recorded it, just because it was like, you know, no one knew how to play to it, no one how to down tune to it, and I can see that. I can see where that might be kind of a. It's not really the kind of thing you would associate certainly with early Nirvana, you know, that kind of jangly, harsh, kind of punky sound. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, you know, a miserable man sitting down and pontificating. I think it's a timeless track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of obvious album picks this episode, but we don't always have the most obvious song choice from that album. And this song, it's not as big as Smells Like Teen Spirit or Come As You Are, Lithium, In Bloom. But it did get a boost a few years ago when it was in the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. And it's a perfect fit because that portrayal of Batman and Bruce Wayne was so dark and gloomy. And this song, yeah, even for Nirvana, is really dark and gloomy.
Pretty dark.
Yeah.
It's pretty dark, yeah.
Anytime you base a song around homelessness, it's not going to be a super fun time. That's for sure.
Right.
But it's still really good, and obviously the album itself is iconic, just for the fact that it brought grunge music into the mainstream. DJ.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like I said, I didn't really have a strong tie to it as a kid. I couldn't really tell you what the turnaround was on that. Probably just hearing it one day and going, you know what, that sounds better to me than I, you know, recall it feeling. But yeah, it kind of just wasn't really where I was at in like 1991, 1992. I was kind of more like, more the college music side of alternative as opposed to the quote unquote grunge side of alternative. It's like I will get to that later in other choices. I know what grunge means. Obviously, I live in Seattle. I lived that life. I had a flannel tied around my waist from roughly 1992 to probably roughly 1995. But grunge as like this statement or movement, I have no idea what that means. We wear flannel in Seattle because it's cold and rainy and functional, not because I'm making a statement. Look, I'm Kurt Cobain. No, that's not really the idea. So yeah, it didn't resonate with me then like it does now, I guess is the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lumberjacks had the corner on Plaid there long before the grunge guys did. But part of my prep work, for this episode was seeing how some of these second albums do in comparison to the first albums. And Bleach, the first Nirvana album, sold 40,000 copies before Nevermind came out. And then Nevermind blew right past that and then some.
Sure. Knocked
Michael Jackson out of the top spot. And it sold like 30 million copies worldwide to date. So yeah, a bit of a jump there, definitely, DJ. So.
That's an astonishing figure that, some guy, a three-piece, and the miserableism soaked therein was managed to resonate all around the world. I mean, it's really quite an accomplishment.
Definitely. All right, so my first pick here, when I did the debut albums episode, I went in chronological order with my picks, and I'll do the same with this episode here. It's funny, we just played Nirvana, which is from Seattle. DJ, you're from Seattle as well, and this guy is also from Seattle, a fellow by the name of Jimi Hendrix, and he had an experience with his name on it, a trio. This is from their 1967 album Axis Bold as Love, and this song is Spanish Castle Magic.
It's very far away. It takes about half a day to get there. If we travel by dragonfly. No, it's not in Spain, but all the same, it's a groovy name, and the wind's just right. Hey! Hang on, my darling. Hang on if you wanna go. It's a really groovy place, isn't it? Just a little bit of Spanish Castle Magic. The clouds are really low, and they overflow with cotton candy and battleground, red and brown. But it's all.
Yeah, that's one of the harder rockers on this album. The thing about Hendrix is, as much of a guitar god as he was, he could also be quite melodic and poetic and floaty. Even the lyrics here, the clouds are really low, and they overflow with cotton candy. Hey, man, it's all trippy-dippy, man. But the actual music is like a hammer. Ba-ba-bum-bum, ba-ba-bum-bum, ba-ba-ba-ba. And when the chorus hits, he's yelling, hang on, my darling. So, yeah, he really goes for it on this one. And it's one of my favorite Hendrix songs, actually. And I want to show some love as well to Noel Redding on bass and Mitch Mitchell on drums. I mean, they are just as vital to this band as Jimmy. And Mitchell in particular. I mean, that guy is such a great drummer. You hear it on this song and other songs on the album. And all their music, really. So, yeah, this is my first pick there, DJ.
The drums on this are just absolutely crushing. I can't even imagine what this must have sounded like in 1967. Just so heavy. And, like, I listened to this when you sent over your list. I wanted to run through a wall after I heard this. And it's like, obviously, I'm familiar with Jimmy. I like Jimmy. I'm more familiar with the legend of Hendrix. I'm more familiar. Obviously, I've watched his Woodstock performance. Obviously, and especially in Seattle, every few years it would come up. Al Hendrix is up to something again with Jimi Hendrix licensing. I'm more familiar with that kind of end of Jimmy as opposed to actually interfacing with his music. I've heard this song, obviously, but it's not something I really go back and listen to, if that makes sense. But man, just hearing this, I was so fired up. And yeah, it's definitely one of the heavier songs on here. But boy, just a crushing heavy. But Jimmy, yeah, he's melodic through it, and it's man, just what a powerful, just a savage piece of music. Like I said, it made me want to just run through a wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We only have like 3 studio albums of him when he was alive. You know, almost everything else he's done has been posthumous releases. But he's so good that, you know, he became this like amazing legend still to this day, which just goes to show you the talent that he had for sure. The funny story about this song here, I first heard it when I played the first Guitar Hero game.
Sure.
The thing is, though, for some reason, I think it was like a rights issue, the song didn't have vocals. Even though all of the songs in the game were covers, there were no vocals on this one. So until I actually heard the song proper, I thought it was an instrumental. And then I heard the real song, and I was like, wait a minute, he sings on this one? What's going on here? This is crazy. So
I think that's a good example of what I was talking about. Al Hendricks strikes again, I think.
But,
wow. And apparently the Spanish Castle apparently was a nightclub of some kind of establishment outside of Seattle where he actually used to play. So that's kind of the inference here from the song. It's a bit of a reference to his past, and this instantly went into my like overall playlist that keeps me accompanied at work or whatever. I was gobsmacked by this one.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for sure. All right, DJ, what's your next pick?
All right, another seminal record, probably one of the finest records of the 1990s. This is Nice Dream, found on The Bends by Radiohead.
They love me like I was a brother. They protect me. Listen to me. They dug me my very own garden. Gave me sunshine. Made me happy. Nice dream. Nice dream. Nice dream. I call up my friend a good angel. She's out with.
And unfortunately, we didn't get to the part, just the absolutely titanic, crushing guitar solo there. But that's a really good example of that period of Radiohead. It's kind of Tom York kind of playing Kurt Vonnegut a little bit, kind of just doing this dreamy, ethereal thing. But yeah, when you get to the guitar solo in Nice Dream, Johnny Greenwood just comes out and just burns the house down with just this thrashing, aggressive solo. It's just titanic. And this is, I think, one of their underheralded songs. I don't really ever see anyone talking about it. And frankly, when this album came out, I didn't buy it for that. I bought it for the single, which is Fake Plastic Trees. And that's the song I don't really even like all that much today. I kind of bought it for that single. I kind of put it on my shelf and I kind of forgot about it. And then the woman who eventually became my wife, she gave me her copy of OK Computer. She didn't like it all that much, and she bequeathed it to me in like 1998 or so. I loved it, and I was like, oh yeah, I have another Radiohead album. And I went back, and then I kind of discovered that, oh wow, these guys are really... this is a band that I really like. And, I don't really follow them that much today, but, I'll stack up their first 3 or 4 albums against anybody's, milieu at that point. So, yeah, I think this is just an ethereal, kind of haunting song. And if you stick around long enough, if that's not your thing, you really do get that just rocking, harsh riff there towards the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've said before on the show, this is my favorite Radiohead album.
Yeah.
Before they got a lot more experimental and a lot, got real weird with it, quote, Always Sunny. And I love how, with Radiohead, even in their nicer sounding songs, they can't help but have that darker, depressing side of things. Like, most of the song's music is nice and gentle, but then, as you said, you have that Johnny Greenwood solo rumble in 2/3 of the way through like a monster. And the song is about having unconditional love, but it's a nice dream. It's not real. And you have to come home. You have to wake up. And that's the Radiohead we know and love, isn't it, folks? Just so beautiful, yet so depressing, DJ.
Yeah, it definitely has that side to it. And and the lyrical content, like I said, is kind of a little Vonnegut-y, and it's just kind of, one of those kind of miserable Tom York laments about love and life. But, I guess you don't have to be miserable to listen to it. It doesn't have to bring you down necessarily. On reflection, I like an awful lot of miserable music. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but there you are.
Well, I wanted to bring up, too, this album has a lot of prominent Radiohead songs on it. Fake Plastic Trees, Just, High and Dry, Street Spirit. Pablo Honey has Creep, which is their biggest song. But this album was the band, I think, really stepping up and coming into their own, DJ.
This album I think is a quantum leap beyond Pablo Honey, which is perfectly acceptable. I know that they started playing Nice Dream kind of towards the end of the touring cycle for Pablo Honey, so they kind of started working it out on the road. I think it's another one where maybe the other bandmates weren't quite so sure, and then it kind of got hammered out in studio, and there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. Radiohead famously, when it comes to touring, they tour a lot and then they get real burned out. I mean, they have documentation of this. You can see it in, Meeting People is Easy. I mean, any of their concerts, really. I was just watching an old Saturday Night Live where they were performing a couple of Kid A tracks, and it's really amazing, what they're doing to try to replicate the studio sound. They're very much a band that they play the studio as an instrument, not just playing their guitars and such. So I think their overall arc is a really interesting one, especially when you look at their kind of humble beginnings with Pablo Honey. The Benz is like a really fully formed thing.
Mm-hmm. And a great album cover too, with the face, But all right, my next pick here, 1970. A little band called Black Sabbath put out a little album called Paranoid. And if you're asking, Andrew, are you really going to play more Black Sabbath? Well, to quote Heisenberg, you're goddamn right. This is the closing track off that album. This is Fairies Wear Boots. Yeah, I love how much that song swings between the opening piece called Jack the Stripper, boom, 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 and Tony's riff, and Bill's drumming. I mean, there's so much groove to this one. It's not just, simple power and doom. It's kind of like jazz metal in a way. And as important as that first Sabbath album was for heavy metal, this is the superior album. You know, it sounds better. Ozzy actually sounds like Ozzy, and it's got Paranoid, it's got Iron Man, War Pigs, Electric Funeral, Hand of Doom, Planet Caravan, just a slew of classics, and Ferris Wear Boots is among them, DJ.
Yeah, now this is where I expose my ignorance a little bit. Obviously, I'm aware of Sabbath. I'm certainly aware of this album. Iron Man's good. War Pigs is fine. This is just not like... This is a branch of classic rock. I guess my needle's more calibrated towards the glammy side of things. That doesn't mean I dislike this. It's just not really something I listen to a lot. Like, I know my wife, for instance, loves Sabbath, loves every period of Sabbath. She went on, when I was talking to her about your choices, she went on to lecture me about how the next album was their best. And I was like, well, that's not the exercise. This is sophomore records. And then, like, when I saw it was Sabbath, I'm not going to gazump your choice later down the road, but I was kind of like, well, I'm not a big Ozzy guy. I prefer a certain singer, which we'll certainly get to. I know, like, in the 70s, if I had, like, grown up around this kind of music, if I had grown up around the kind of people that like this kind of music, I probably would have really liked it too. It's just not super my thing, but that doesn't mean I can't respect it. I mean, the drums obviously really carry it. You can feel the DNA that this shares with Iron Man, certainly in a couple of the guitar licks. There's a couple of times where I just like said like out loud to my computer, I'm like, that's just Iron Man, isn't it? When you get that particular tone. So yeah, no, I definitely respect it. I definitely see where it's coming from. Just not super something I'm into, but I mean, there's certainly nothing wrong with that.
Well, it sounds like I should have Mrs. Convoy in the show, if that's the case.
She knows 872 times more about music than me. But then you run the risk of, her judging you on your musical knowledge and choices. So.
I like the cut of her jib, for sure, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. Because this is not a very glamorous album, that's for sure. Not a very glamorous sound.
No, yeah.
But as for the origins of the song, there are a few different stories. The most common one is that the band was attacked by skinheads after a show, the British skinheads.
Yeah.
And the skinheads wore boots, so the song is a bit of revenge against them by calling them fairies. And then also the band was smoking that ganja, smoking that wacky tobacco. There was that influence there as well with hallucinations, perhaps. And then Ozzy, in his book, I Am Ozzy, was like, yeah, I don't remember what it's about. Which is typical Ozzy. Definitely.
Yeah.
There, so.
Yeah, when I was reading up on this, I was like, I saw multiple stories. I heard the fairies comparison. I saw that it was some people took it as a reference to LSD, and then that Ozzy's answers had changed over the years, and in that kind of gloopy, muddy Ozzy way, it's just kind of like you kind of just have to shrug and accept that you can't. That's someone who's you can't really rely on as far as being a reliable narrator. So that's just one of those things. I guess it's lost to time. I could see it being about LSD for sure. I could definitely see it about just being kind of just gacked out on a little bit too much of the green stuff for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 70s were a real fun time for the band with their their extracurricular activities, shall we say?
Yeah.
But all right, DJ, what's your next pick?
All right, another one really close and dear to my heart, off of Pinkerton, record from Weezer. This is El Scorcho.
I asked you to go to the Green Day concert. You said you never heard of them. How cool is that? So I went to your room and read your diary. Watching grunge leg drop New Jack to a press table. And then my heart stopped listening to Cho-Cho San. Fall in love all over again. I'm alive like you, so please, hello, I'm here, I'm waiting. Oh, we're crazy now. I think I'd be good for you, and you'd be good for me. Oh, stupid is it?
Now I don't want to step on the kayfabe of this record, but of course, without being prompted, you queued it up to the perfect part for a wrestling adjacent music show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to break anyone's hearts here, but Rivers Cuomo was not necessarily watching hardcore TV. To reference our friends New Jack and Johnny Grunge. He actually was looking at a friend's paper in his English Lit class and perhaps appropriated those names and thought they were evocative. He was right. They were evocative, and I thought they made Weezer the coolest thing in the world in 1996. But yeah, that's a little bit of a kayfabe break there. He wasn't actually a fan of ECW hardcore TV, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, I know Weezer, it could be a very divisive topic, but,
yeah.
You know, any band that references grunge, like dropping New Jack through a table, they're okay in my book. You know, whether they actually watched it wrestling or not, they're okay in my book there, DJ, so...
So Rivers, I guess, had something completely different in mind for the second Weezer album. The first one was a success, obviously. It's produced by Rick Ocasek. When I heard it, we were really lucky in Seattle to have a really progressive alternative rock station. It was called KNDD, The End. I'm sure there was a million radio stations called The End. But our The End, they would actually kind of play albums before they would drop. They broke Oasis, for instance, probably in America. I don't see any. I've looked for like confirmation of that, but they definitely played Oasis before anyone else. They had personal ties with Nirvana, etc., etc. I remember hearing the first Weezer album well before it was released, and I remember really liking it. And so I bought this when it came out. I probably would have been 16 or 17. I played Pinkerton to death. And as I say, Rivers had a different idea for the second album entirely. He wanted to do a rock opera about, being disillusioned with being a rock star. He kind of quit the band, sort of, to go back to Harvard to study. And that kind of put a crimp in the band's plans. And he comes back and he records, this album is so intensely personal, it borders on embarrassing to listen to some of the lyrical content. And in 1996, to 16, 17-year-old me, some of the lyrics are so on the nose that it felt like someone was spying on me. I can't tell you the emotional impact that this album entire had. I really, El Scorcho is definitely one of the bigger tracks. I wanted to shy away from some of the other songs on this record just because of maybe a little bit iffy lyrical content. I didn't really want to get into, Tired of Sex, for instance, or, some of the other ones. So I kind of went with the safe choice of El Scorcho. The only real shame, I would say, about this record, I listened to this probably, no exaggeration, between, the 1997-1998 corridor, probably about 1,000 times. Frankly, I don't think I ever need to listen to this record again. It's great, don't get me wrong, but it's just not, it doesn't hold the same place in my heart that it may have back then. That's not a bad thing. That's not an indictment. This album was not well received when it came out by fans or by critics. Now it's hailed as this masterpiece. There's definitely times in my life where I would have told you it was a masterpiece. I probably would still tell you it's a masterpiece. It's just, it's tough for me to listen to now, just simply due to I don't have those same emotions that I had as, angsty, lame 17-year-old. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Yeah. I mean, for myself, I've never been a deep Weezer fan. I like the hits. I like the songs I know. And I don't know almost any of the songs on Pinkerton besides this one. I know a lot on the Blue album because those were hits.
Sure.
My Name is Jonas, Buddy Holly, Say It Ain't So, Undone. That was a very big album for theirs, especially for a debut. So to go from that to Pinkerton,
Yeah.
which has no hit singles and is a much harsher mood and is self-produced and all that.
Yeah.
I can totally see why this flopped. And if it wasn't for the Green Album and Island in the Sun and Hashpipe, there's a chance that Weezer might never have recovered from this album there, DJ.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's funny is, like the Green Album, I remember buying it with anticipation and kind of walking away from it going, oh, it didn't really, like you mentioned, in the intro, it didn't really meet any of my expectations. It probably couldn't, since it had, essentially, 5 years of weight, stacked on top of it. I don't know if anything could have. And then Weezer just has kind of turned into this, kind of just this hit machine, and everything kind of is just this melodic soup, and it's just kind of the same thing over and over again. Is Beverly Hills really different than any of their other hash pipe? It's all kind of the same, but like I say, the raw emotional content in Pinkerton, so much so that like Rivers even kind of like apologized about it, like he knew it was maybe perhaps a touch too personal. I think that's an aspect of their work that's completely missing in later albums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I could see why they went back to the hits, because
sure,
if you get one bad album, it could sink the ship. So I could see why they went back to the old ways. Because I went to a lot of bar mitzvahs when I was a teenager. They played Beverly Hills quite a lot. They're not.
Oh, sure.
They're not playing El Scorcho. They're not playing Why Bother. So I could see why they reversed course in that kind of sound and that kind of writing style for sure.
Yeah.
But like you said, nowadays people see it as a masterpiece. All these emo bands of the 2000s say it's a big influence on them, and it just goes to show that some art takes time to really get a following. DJ.
Everything we've played so far, Andrew, is like a really influential record. This, and maybe like to our detriment, is super influential. Yeah, like any band, post 1998 that's like, even remotely emo, that this was at the top of everyone's, this is such an influential record that probably isn't that real heralded amongst some people. Amongst people who know it, they know this thing inside and out. Amongst people who just I like Buddy Holly. Okay, yeah, they're probably not. I like their cover of Africa. I don't know. So like I say though, it almost borders on just too personal to listen to. My favorite band probably is XTC. And the lead singer of XTC was Andy Partridge, and he would write incredibly emotional, true-to-life songs, sometimes about things in his actual life. There's a couple of his songs I can't listen to because I know what they're about. I know that, that's when he was getting divorced, or I know that he's about that groupie who was surrounding him. And it's just like, it feels too raw, too personal, too naked. And it's like kind of like cringe factor that's just like, oh God, I can't listen to that. And that's kind of the territory this album sort of occupies for me a little bit now. Mm-hmm. But like I say, when I was 17, it felt like someone, peeping in my window. It's like, oh my God, he's singing about unrequited love. And he's singing
me.
About
Rivers is me.
It's me. That's me. I'm a dork too. So I can totally see why this became a classic. And like I say, it's just not really the headspace I'm in anymore, but I can never take away the love I have for this album.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, my next pick here, 1971. This is a lady who is one of the preeminent songwriters of the 60s, wrote a lot of hit songs for other people, and then she became a performer herself. And this is Carole King from 1971, her second album, Tapestry. And this is her song, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman.
When my soul was in the lost and found, you came along to claim it. I didn't know just what was wrong with me,
So yeah, Carole wrote that song with her ex-husband and writing partner Jerry Goffin. She did the music, he did the lyrics, and it became a big, big hit for Aretha Franklin. It's one of her signature songs. But now here's Carole doing her own version, and big shocker, her version is also really great. It's a stripped down version with just her voice, a piano, and a string bass, but it's still really powerful. And Tapestry, monster of an album, has two of her biggest songs for herself, which are It's Too Late and I Feel the Earth Move. And those are also great songs, but I had to pick this one because I heard it again the other day, and it gets me every time, DJ.
I'm going to read verbatim what I wrote about this from my notes here. And I wrote, I have to say that while this is a wonderful, iconic song, I prefer Aretha Franklin's rendition. It's not a mile different, obviously. There's not a lot of wiggle room there, but there's something to be said about a stripped down, more intimate version of the song. I could see where someone might prefer this just due to the more conversational feel of it. Then I listened to it again. And then I listened to it again. I listened to your playlist several times. And I kind of felt like I was kind of giving it short shrift. Obviously, it's not going to be as powerful as... Aretha is going to be kind of just this omnidirectional cannon pointed right at you. And I was like, well, yeah, I prefer that. But then that doesn't mean that Carole King's version is any less powerful. It's just a different kind of wattage. Her rendition is still really moving. It's still really powerful. It's just not the in-your-face thing Aretha's is. And that's not an indictment. That's not a bad thing. This is a delightful song, and she deserved to have a hit with it. And her version of it, if you prefer it or if you don't, I mean, it's still an incredible rendition of the song. It's still her song. She co-wrote it. So yeah, I mean, I might prefer the Aretha version a little bit, but upon reflection, upon hearing it more and more, there's certainly nothing bad you can say about this version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a coin toss, like I said. A song that's so great, whoever's doing it, they're probably doing a great job at it because it's just the way it's written.
Mary J. Blige did a cover.
Mm-hmm. I think Rod Stewart did "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Man," which Rod, I love you, buddy, but come on, it's not the same. But yeah, we talked about Nevermind being such a big jump for Nirvana. This album is like the definition of a sophomore surge. Because her first album, Writer, goes to 84 on the Billboard charts. This bad boy, on the other hand, 5 weeks at number 1, 4 Grammys, including Album of the Year, Song of the Year, Record of the Year, 14 times platinum. It's just an absolute juggernaut of a record. And I'm sure it must feel really good to have written countless hit songs for other people than to finally have your name be on the album cover, your face, your cat, and it's regarded as one of the best albums ever. That's got to feel real nice, DJ, I'm sure.
I was going to mention the album cover as probably being my favorite amongst all the covers here. It's just her chilling out on her window seat and her kitty cat in the foreground. I was like, wow, that's a cool lady right there. I appreciated that.
Mm-hmm. And still with us, too, thankfully.
Yeah.
Still around, which is great to see. But all right, what you got next there, DJ?
Well, another probably one of the most influential records on here. Probably not a huge hit at the time. Rightfully regarded as a classic these days. We're going to be listening to Paul's Boutique, Shake Your Rump, and obviously it's the unforgettable Beastie Boys.
Back. A lot of people, they be chosen just to hear me rock the mic. They be staring at the radio, staying up all night. So I'm pimpin', eat shrimpin', bustin' my legs, good just do you boy. Got a race at the Mardi Gras for jumping on the float. My man MCA's got a beard like a Billy Goat.
It's the disco call.
MCA,
Get rocked, y'all.
routine, and the rhyme.
And I'll be busting routines and rhymes all night.
Like eating burgers and chicken and you be picking your nose. And I'm on time, homie, that's how it goes.
You heard my style, I think you missed the point.
Now, Andrew, I'm a little older than you, and this is really strange. The Beastie Boys were so huge, they were so ubiquitous with License to Ill. I cannot recall the circumstances, but I swear to you this is true. My second grade teacher bought the second grade class a copy of License to Ill to listen to in the classroom. I swear to you that's true. I cannot remember the circumstances as to why. I hope she didn't let us listen to, like, you know, Paul Revere or, like, you know, just some of the, you know, Hold It Now hit. Hopefully the trashier stuff she didn't let us listen to. I don't recall. But yeah, I mean, the Beastie Boys were, if you lived that time, they were inescapable. And then they vanished for like 3 years. And it's like, what the heck happened? And they kind of, I guess they like fell out with Rick Rubin. They kind of went underground. They went to LA. They just kind of chilled out. And they reemerge with this. And it's like the most sample-driven album, I think, possibly ever. I think I saw like a Pitchfork documentary that said there was like 105 samples on this record. Obviously, that would be something that would be probably impossible to do today. This song alone, I think, has like 9 or 10 samples. You've got like Africa Bambaataa. You've got, you know, Thin Lizzy beats, Harvey Scales. You know, you've got like just the stupid, the song faded out right when you were getting to like something that made me chuckle. Mike D, just like, he goes, nothing wrong with my leg, I'm B-boy limping, and there's just silliness on this record. It's great. This to me, I like License to Ill. It's good, but it's also really frat boy oriented. It's really kind of jockey, not super my speed. This is better to me in like every way. You have the Dust Brothers, who are, I can't quite remember if they were unknown. They might have been doing stuff at that point. They might have been starting to produce. Basically, they were kind of working out loops and samples and stuff. And then they knew the Beastie Boys, obviously, and they were kind of convinced to sort of take this instrumental stuff that they were doing for themselves and kind of incorporate it into this album. And when this came out, some music critics liked it, but yeah, everyone was like, you know what, this is a flop. This is nothing like License. And of course it was going to be a flop compared to License to Ill, because again, that was a record that was so important. Second grade teachers bought it for their kids to listen to. You cannot overstate how massive License to Ill was, and then how kind of like limply received Paul's Boutique is. It's just this stampeding rhino of a record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you think about it, you know, this is kind of like the Beastie Boys' Pinkerton in a way, because yeah, like you said, License to Ill, a massive hit with this rap rock foundation. They go away for a few years, they come back with something completely different, and not as big of a hit as the first album. The difference is, though, the critical reception at the time was still much better for this album than it was for Pinkerton.
Yes.
But again, an album here that's only grown reputation and praise since it's come out, because it's such an important and influential album in terms of sampling. There's just so much sampling on this album. Shout out to the Dust Brothers as producers, because these are their backing tracks, and they're a big part of why this album is what it is, DJ.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if they were doing stuff for like Tone Loc yet or not. I didn't look that deep into the timeline. It's all pretty close to that point. So obviously they knew the Beastie Boys knew them by reputation. These guys were spinning, you know, live DJ sets and stuff. So perhaps that's how they knew him. I think they might have been like housemates, maybe even. There might have been some kind of like intermingling along those lines. But man, has to be, you know, one of the most influential records that we listen to today. I mean, the sonic impact this had on hip hop just in general. I know that there are some corners of hip hop where they're kind of like, to the Beastie Boys. I get it, but I mean, it's just this album, the sonic layering of this album, what you could do with samples. It's more than just lifting a drum beat from a cool old, you know, 70s disco record. And you know, Paul's Boutique is probably the finest example, certainly up to that time, of you know, building tracks out of disparate parts. And you know, you get, it's the joint, you know, this, shout out to James Brown, Africa Bambaataa. I mean, another titanic, crushing record, and a really fun one on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say, I love how even something as simple as "It's the joint," even that's sampled. Like they could have just had the Beasties say "It's the joint," but no, they got a song from 81 or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, and like apparently they cleared all these samples. You think, oh man, they just ripped off all these samples. Apparently they cleared like 99% of these samples. So Mazel Tov for that. Like I said before, that probably wouldn't be possible, or certainly not without paying out the rear for just ridiculous amounts of samples. And like I said, I think it's something like 105 samples altogether, which just imagine trying to manage that. That seems like a impossible task.
For sure. All right, so my next pick here, 1976, with this album. I played Black Sabbath with Ozzy earlier.
Yeah.
This next group features Ozzy's eventual replacement in Sabbath.
Yes.
Mr. Ronnie James Dio, who, before he was in Sabbath, and then, of course, his own band Dio, he was in a band called Rainbow with Ritchie Blackmore from Deep Purple. And this is their second album, Rising, and the song is called Stargazer. Yeah, this is what I call an epic. 8.5 minutes long. You have this sick drum intro from Cozy Powell. You got an orchestra. You have an awesome guitar solo from Ritchie Blackmore, of course. It's metal as hell, and it's Dio as hell. I mean, this song is about a wizard who enslaves a bunch of people so they can build him a tower to the stars. In the heat and rain, with whips and chains, just to see him fly, so many die. I mean, that is Ronnie James Dio to the core. He's all about wizards and chains and dark magic and shit. But yeah, this song rules. It's the centerpiece of the album. And the album as a whole also rules. It's got a killer lineup with the band, with Blackmore, Dio, Cozy, Jimmy Bain on bass, Tony Carey on keyboards. Martin Birch produced it, who also produced and engineered Fleetwood Mac, Deep Purple, Whitesnake, Iron Maiden, Blue Oyster Cult, a bunch of other big names. And this album is seen as a blueprint for what eventually became power metal. And yeah, there's a lot of power here, for sure, DJ.
Yeah. I was going to come into the Sabbath review and be like, kind of like, critical music something. Oh, I don't like gloopy, gloppy Ozzy. I prefer Dio. But then, of course, you put Rainbow on your list, so that kind of shot me down a little bit. But it's Dio singing about wizards in like this Wagnerian, like Ring of the Nibelung kind of like opera, epic 8.5 minute, just crushing tidal wave of wizards flying around, dueling, and shooting out lightning bolts. I mean, this is music you have like a wizard shooting lightning out of his fingertips painted on your van to. This is what kids in 1976 were playing proto Dungeons and Dragons to. It's what can you even say? It's just like I almost like I'm not making fun of it, but it makes me laugh. Not because I'm like, oh, this is bad. It's just like it's so funny to me. It's like this song could not be more on the nose. It's like you're listening to a song about wizards and dragons, and it's just like Ronnie James Dio is carrying you through it, and you just have these, just the percussion. You just have this swelling orchestral. The term epic is thrown around way too much, obviously, but like, what else could this possibly be? It's like a mini rock opera in 8.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Rainbow, it wasn't this flimsy little rebound band that Richie Blackmore did after he left Deep Purple. Like, they have a lot of great stuff. I mean, like Deep Purple, they had a lot of different members over the years, including other guys from Deep Purple, actually, Roger Glover, Don Airey. And they would get more commercial success later on with Since You've Been Gone with Graham Bonnet, and then the Jolene Turner era. And I like that stuff too. But the first 3 Rainbow albums, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, Rising, and Long Live Rock and Roll, those are the ones with Dio on them. And those are all really damn good. Just straight up great hard rock metal albums. So if you like Dio, you like him from Dio, like him from Sabbath, and you don't really know his Rainbow stuff, give it a shot. There's a lot of gems like this one, DJ.
I would definitely agree that, while not my favored genre or anything like that, the power of Dio transcends genre probably, and yeah, he's a lot of fun to listen to. I'm certainly a fan of his solo work. The self-titled band, I guess I should say, as opposed to solo work. Certainly a lot of his 80s hits. I think Dio's kind of under-heralded in some circles, obviously not to metal people, but just I don't think that people don't really talk about Dio and the power of his voice, and it's just that's stuff that moves me, and I don't even really, I'm not super into that genre of music, and I'm in awe of that guy. So yeah, I would definitely echo listening to Rainbow and listening to a solo Dio band as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's why we have the devil horns. He made that popular, so
That's right.
He's more than just a voice, for sure. Yeah.
He's in the Tenacious D movie, I believe. It's kind of like the god of rock. He descends from his throne to talk to the D, and I mean, he's also referenced all over their first album as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, what's your next pick there, DJ?
All right, we're looking at, I believe this is from right around 2004. This is Grace Under Pressure, found on Cast of Thousands by Elbow.
Grace under pressure, cooling palm across my brow, eyes of an angel.
I feel like a bit of a fraud. I didn't listen to this when it came out. I probably came to it listening. I used to listen to a lot of UK-based radio. Jarvis Cocker's show, Stephen Merchant from The Office, his BBC show. So I probably came across Elbow listening to one of those sources, would be my guess. I probably heard something off of Seldom Seen Kid, really liked it, and then kind of explored the back catalog. And this is also kind of a ringer. This is technically their second album, but Elbow, in some configuration or another, at that point, had been together for 7 or 8 years. Had even recorded an entire album that got tanked by the record company. This is their official second album. But one thing you could say about it, some of the stuff we've listened to today, it's like a quantum leap ahead of what the first album sounded like. This isn't. It's not a great deal different, but that is in no way an indictment of it. It's not necessarily more of the same. It's just more good stuff. I think some people have a conception in regards to Elbow that a lot of it sounds the same, just simply because Guy Garvey's voice is so kind of it doesn't change a lot, but it's like it's just this comforting. It's kind of like a blanket almost. It's just like this warm, deep, yearning thing that just kind of wraps around you. And this is an excellent album. This is an excellent song off of the album. And frankly, I don't listen to like a lot of newer music. This is probably one of the closest things I would consider to be a newer band. Having learned of them mid to late early aughts. I mean, they still put out good music today. Guy Garvey's solo work is really good as well. I just think the world of this band, and this is an excellent example of them performing at a high level. Would be how I sum it up, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Elbow is a band I've heard of, but I've never listened to them. So this is my first time actually hearing them. And
excellent.
My two thoughts are, A, I hope their other songs have more diverse lyrics, because this one is just the same verse over and over and over again until the last one, which in fairness is a great line. We still believe in love, so fuck you.
Sung by a cast of thousands, quote unquote. At a Glastonbury festival. You can even go, I guess, to their website and register. Like, I was there, and then you were kind of listed, not in obviously in the CD listings, but they had like they had an address you could go, and I'm just so charmed by that. This is such like a quintessentially fun British thing. Like, oh, we've incorporated the voices of our fans. I just thought that's very charming.
I was going to say, I like how the song unfolds, where it starts off really low key, and then as it goes on, it gets bigger and bigger until the end, when you have an entire crowd of Glastonbury singing along, hence the name Cast of Thousands. So I dug this one, DJ.
Cool. I'm glad you liked it. And yeah, you're exactly right. The song really ramps up the tribal percussion in it. Like you say, it starts off low key, but then you just get this kind of just pounding rhythm, and it just keeps building and building upon itself. Yeah, I would say other songs are probably a little more lyrically diverse. I could have gone with several songs off of this album, but I just thought this was like just such a nice. It's the album closer, and it's just kind of like a nice kind of palate cleanser as well. Like I said before, there's something about Garvey's voice in particular that just really kind of just like evokes like this kind of like fondness. I likened him one time to Peter Gabriel. Not that they sound particularly similar, they don't. And he's actually covered some Peter Gabriel tracks. But it's just like, it kind of just it has a way of evoking like just this kind of melodic security blanket almost. And not like, I don't mean that like in a bad way. It's not like it's some kind of Perry Como situation where it's just like, oh God, I'm falling asleep to this. But no, I mean, it's just, Elbow is a very... it's a band I really think should be spoken of more highly, and I'm glad you dug it. I mean, this I don't know if this is their best album. It's probably not. There's more hits off of Seldom Seen Kid, certainly. Powder Blue. There's a wide. If you decide to get into it, there's a lot of directions you could go with their back catalog.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kept looking at the name Guy Garvey and thinking, that sounds like a superhero's alter ego. And that's because Guy Gardner is the name of one of the Green Lanterns. That's Nathan Fillion with the bowl cut there in Superman.
The bowl cut, so. He's the bowl cut. He's the bowl cut lantern, yes, and famously a real asshole, as a matter of fact, which Guy Garvey hopefully is not.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you mentioned Peter Gabriel. They were part of the Scratch My Back and I'll Scratch Yours project, where he did a version of their song Mirror Ball, and they did a version of it. Yeah, they did a version of his song Mercy Street. So if Peter Gabriel likes him, then that's a good sign of approval there for sure. So.
And they're very good. Like live, they're a band that they really translate the album experience. And like, some bands I find kind of, I'm really weird. So like, I will sit there and go like, this doesn't really sound like the record to me sometimes. And I know some people value that in like live performances, but I get kind of weird about that on occasion. Elbow is really, really good at kind of replicating the sound that they would have on a record. I'm sure some of that's probably down to Guy Garvey's voice, but like, they're also really good. Like, here's an orchestra. We can incorporate an orchestra into our music. Here's this choir. We can incorporate this choir. We can incorporate 3,000 fans at Glastonbury. Just on and on. So I'm happy that you liked it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, up next for me, if there was a Boomer Music Hall of Fame, this guy would be in it. Probably a first ballot here. This is Don Henley from his solo career in between the Eagles breaking up and getting back together again. His second album, 1984's Building the Perfect Beast. And this is the opening track, one of his biggest songs, probably his biggest ever. This is The Boys of Summer.
Nobody on the road, nobody on the beach. I feel it in the air, the summer's out of reach. Empty lake, empty streets, the sun goes down alone. I'm driving by your house, though I know you're not home. But I can see you, your brown skin shining in the sun. You got your hair combed back and sunglasses on, baby. I can tell you my love for you will still be strong after the boys of summer have gone.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people know the Ataris version of that song. There's also a DJ Sammy version I like a lot, as well as one by this band, the Hooters. But I always go back to the original here. I just think it's a perfect song. I just love how it sounds. That guitar tone, that wistful melancholy in Don Henley's voice of realizing you're getting older and seeing things end and wanting to hold on to the days of yesteryear. I think we all feel that way, for sure. And I know Henley and the Eagles aren't the coolest acts to like. They get their fair share of shit. Thank you, Big Lebowski. But I genuinely love them. And this is one of my all-time favorite songs, actually. I could listen to this song every day for like a month and not get sick of it. But that's just me, DJ, so...
No. I don't have like a great deal of time for the Eagles. I don't hate them or anything. I just never really vibe with them super much. But I think out of all the songs that we've listened to today, this song in particular is probably, at least for me, the most like direct time machine to the 80s. And I don't mean that in any kind of pejorative sense. You can feel like the existential, the longing coming off of this, especially when you get a little bit older. And you really kind of understand what it's about. You're starting to get older, like you said. The lyrical content is pretty obvious. It's just like a direct time machine. I would also say that about End of the Innocents, but I guess we'd have to say that for the third album, Show. That's another one that it would take me. If that came on the radio right now, I would just be instantly transported to 1988, and this instantly transports me back to like 1984. Not necessarily because it's like a simpler time or whatever, but it's just like the synthness of it. It's a little AOR-y, but not in an offensive way. It's a really tightly composed song. It's really pretty much perfectly straddles that kind of pop, kind of adult rock kind of line. And I guess it was like proposed to Tom Petty to play this, and then Tom Petty passed on it, and this became like Henley's his staple, his breakout song, really. So, oops, but I don't know if this would have. Obviously, Tom Petty can do "Yearning." I mean, that's not outside of his range. But would this have been as colossal of a hit under his voice? I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mike Campbell co-wrote this song, and I read that he made a demo of it. And he brought it to Petty, and they were making, Southern accents at the time. And Petty was like, yeah, this doesn't really fit the rest of the album. So instead, he went to Don Henley with it, and the rest is history. But yeah, Mike Campbell is on the rest of the album too. So is Ben Montench from the Heartbreakers, David Page and Steve Porcaro from Toto, Randy Newman, Lindsey Buckingham, Charlie Sexton, Pino Palladino, many other big names. And the rest of the album is a heavy hitter. You got this, All She Wants to Do Is Dance, Sunset Grill, which is a great song, Not Enough Love in the World. So yeah, it's not just this song that I love a lot. The album as a whole is also really great, DJ.
Well, yeah, no, it stands up. It stands up for sure. And Henley really found his groove, I think, as a solo act. Frankly, since my parents didn't listen to a ton of like Eagles or anything, I knew him more as this than I did as the Eagles guy. Obviously they get back together and that changed a little bit, but yeah, no, I really remember him more for this record and the next to follow, than specifically as, Eagles dude. So yeah, no, I'm definitely with you on this. And it's certainly a song. And again, especially as I get older, same thing happened to me with Springsteen, probably a few other, things I can name. The older you get, the more this kind of makes sense to you a little bit. Maybe the yearning, the longing for times past, maybe that doesn't really resonate with you when you're, a kid or even a teenager. But, as you get into adulthood and you face various melancholies, you face various bittersweetness. Yeah, something like this really, I think it hits in a way that it couldn't when you're younger and you learn to appreciate it more.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're recording this the day after my birthday.
Oh!
Actually, I just turned 33, and that doesn't sound too old, but...
Younger than me.
It does feel like yesterday that I was still a kid, and now I've blinked, and now I'm 33, and I've got, gray hair on me, and I've got bills to pay and rent to pay and all this adult stuff. So, yeah, it could just go by so quickly, DJ.
Well, I just turned 46 a month ago, so when you get to 46, get back to me.
Okay.
we can compare wrinkles and aches and pains.
For sure. We'll do. We'll do. But
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care. Go to Dutch.com to get vet care that is always there for just $92 a year.
But all right, what's your next pick there, DJ?
Yeah, this is another really undersung record, I think. We're looking at Loveless by My Bloody Valentine, and this is Only Shallow. My Bloody Valentine is really known, as kind of a progenitor of shoegaze, quote unquote. And, the more we talk, the more you'll find that I really have a hard time with those kind of labels. I don't really necessarily understand. Of course, I know what shoegaze is. This song has shoegaze elements, but it's really, really loud. It's really noisy. The ethereal lyrics that doesn't necessarily make it a shoegaze song to me, but this is a seminal shoegaze album. And I think my favorite thing about it, this band is founded by a guy named Kevin Shields. He's an Irish guy, kind of a perfectionist, kind of like Marky Smith tendencies. A lot of moving parts to this band. A lot of producers left, kind of burning at the side of the road. A lot of relocations. They weren't really making it in Ireland. They went to like the Netherlands. They went to Germany. They went to London. They went to Wales. They recorded a record, and it did okay. It did pretty good. And then it took them 3 years to record record Loveless, the follow-up. This is again, we're talking about influential albums. This is probably one of the most influential albums that we'll listen to today. Powering all of the quote-unquote shoegaze, whatever that means, movement. It's going to have step-on effects like the Manchester scene. It's going to have so many outreaching tentacles, and it's all from this record. This song is the big single off of it. 3 years putting this together, and basically he recorded this over and over again, and producers didn't get it and didn't understand, and then finally all the music was laid down, and he brought in his co-singer, Belinda Butcher, and she comes in. He cordons himself off with her, and they just kind of bebop and scat and come up with the lyrics no one really understands, and they just kind of write it there in the studio on the spot. So you have these soaring, ethereal harmonies and kind of nonsensical words, and this incredibly meticulously laid out track full of noise, full of life and energy, and they just kind of just threw the lyrics together, and the lyric track at the end, amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never gotten into shoegaze. Mm-hmm. I'm more of a shoe lesbian fan myself, folks.
Oh yes,
come on now, gotta laugh in these trying times. But but seriously though, I understand the historical significance of this band and this album. I know it's very influential for a lot of other bands and acts. Yeah, but I just thought this was just okay. Okay. It was a little hard to hear the vocals, which I guess is kind of the point of the genre. But it's hard to hear over the sound of all that fuzz and the
there's so much fuzz. Yeah. There's
it's
so
like,
much
turn
fuzz
the noise
tremolo.
down, please.
Yeah.
I can't hear the lady singing. Come on now, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand. This is just coated in sonic fuzz and tremolo everywhere. So yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from on this. Mm-hmm. Basically, the label hated dealing with this guy, which, sure. They kind of dropped him, and then they kind of just broke up, and then I guess they got back together, many years hence. I've never listened to any of the, 2012 iteration of the band. And I can definitely see where a label would be like, oh my God, this guy cannot be pleased. What are we doing here? We're spending, 250,000 pounds trying to record something. What's going on? So yeah, again, those kind of Marky Smith tendencies, you can be that kind of auteur in the music scene, but obviously you have to be prepared for the pushback when you're that kind of perfectionist. So yeah, I can see it not being to everyone's taste. I think it's just like this really kind of straddles that rocky tone, and then I have time for shoegaze, but again, I don't know that this is a great example of it, even though this is supposed to be this legendary shoegaze-centered album, and there are definitely better examples of shoegazeness on this record. But this one I really like. I get it that it probably wouldn't be to everyone's liking, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when My Bloody Valentine finally put out their third album back in 2013, and it was this big deal because Loveless was 91, so it was quite the gap. But I read that Kevin Shields, he collapsed under the pressure of having to follow up Loveless, and in his words, went crazy. So I can understand the long gap there, the long wait for new music there, for sure. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right, my next pick. This is a band and an album I've praised on the show before. This is Tears for Fears. with their second album, Songs from the Big Chair, from '85, and I went with a song called Mother's Talk. So, Songs from the Big Chair, it's got Shout, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and Head Over Heels. Those are the big three. But this was the first single they put out from that album. And it's the grittiest of those songs. Shout is this epic anthem. Rule the World and Head Over Heels are essentially pop songs. And they did do a US mix of this song that made it a little poppier and brighter. But this is the album version. So it has that low gurgling synth, and it's about the threat of nuclear war, because it's the mid-'80s, the Cold War and all that. But if you listen to it now, it could totally be about global warming. Some of us are horrified, others never talk about it, but when the weather starts to burn, then you'll know that you're in trouble. So it's still rather prescient. And it's not like my favorite Tears song, but it is a good deeper cut that I wanted to focus on as opposed to the more well-known stuff, DJ.
So pulling back the curtain just slightly, when you reached out to me, you had to convince me to come on the show, because I'm very afraid of, like, I really suffer from kind of imposter syndrome. I was like, I knew it would be fun to do the show. I feel like I have a fairly good idea of your musical taste because I've listened to the show for so long. But I was just sitting there kind of worried. I was like, oh man, I don't know. Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I speak extemporaneously about these songs? You sent over your music list, and the first half of it, I was like, oh yeah, no, I like that song, or oh, that's a pretty good song. This and the next couple of songs, I was like, oh man, thank goodness. This album was on my short list. I didn't send you a track from it ultimately. Had I done, I probably would have went with Working Hour ? I really
played that before on the show.
Yeah,
love that song. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic song itself. This is what's really funny about the song. This is like essential, quintessential Tears for Fears for me. And Roland Orzabal apparently didn't like it all that much. This is kind of like, this is them going in a direction. Obviously, Songs from the Big Chair is going to be a huge success. It's going to have 3 or 4, huge singles off of it. And like you said, this is a deeper cut. This was something they were kind of playing around with as a very clear, here's what we used to be, and now we're kind of going in this more poppier kind of direction. So I guess he doesn't like it all that much because of that. I guess he can see the seams. I can't. I think this is one of their best songs. I was so relieved when it was on your list because I was like, okay, we're going to be at least somewhat simpatico. And I was like, oh my God, he picked that too. Great. I felt really relieved and more relaxed about doing this. And this is just a terrific song. It really surprised me when I read that he didn't really like this. And as you said, this is kind of like the single came out first. It was kind of like a precursor to Songs from Big Chair. It's just kind of like a trial balloon. And if he didn't like it that much, I don't think that shows. If you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also disagree with Roland there, because this is just great to me. When people talk about desert island discs, this would be one of mine. I really love this album just entirely, not just for the hits, but like I said, the Working Hour, which I played on the Saxy Boy episode with Roomba, and Listen, which is the closer, which is also really, really damn good. But yeah, this album is a big repeat listen for me, DJ.
Could you still listen to Shout?
I could, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I could listen to all the songs, really, despite hearing them, like you said, a million times over the years. So,
It's like Shout might be a tiny bit overplayed for me, but yeah, no, I mean, I have all the time in the world for this, all the time in the world for Working Hour. I really even like, I know it's Sans Kurt Smith, but I like Elemental. I like that a lot. I like that a lot as a teenager for whatever reason.
That's a good album too. Yeah.
I would call up and pester my local college radio alternative station, quote unquote, to play Cold off of it all the time. Mm-hmm. Go buy the record. What are you doing? Why are you bothering the poor DJ? I think this is a tremendous album.
Mm-hmm. All right, DJ, what's next for you?
Let's see here. Next up, we're gonna have a seminal trip hop classic off the album Protection. This is Karma Coma by Massive Attack.
You sure you wanna be with me? I've nothing to give. Now take a walk, take a rest, taste the rest. You sure you wanna be with me? I've nothing to give. Now take a walk, take a rest, taste the rest. Take a walk, take a rest, and taste the rest. Don't wanna be on top of your list. Monopoly and properly kissed. We overcome in 60 seconds with the strength we have together, but for now, emotional ties they stay severed. When there's trust to be treated, someone with funk will hear beats. Karma Coma, Jamaica and Roma, Karma Coma. Jamaica and Roma, Karma Coma. Jamaica and Roma, Karma Coma. Jamaica and Roma.
So kind of like when we were talking about grunge earlier, and I was kind of copying to not really understanding what grunge, quote unquote, means. I don't know what trip hop means. Obviously, I know what trip hop means. I have I have a lot of Massive Attack records. I have a lot of Tricky albums. I have a lot of Portishead. Obviously, I am familiar with trip hop. It just seems to me like that's just such a weird categorization because Massive Attack sort of defies an easy description. And, this is a really important record to me. This is another one that I played a lot when I was a kid. I couldn't tell you what turned me onto it. Maybe I saw, something on 120 Minutes, the old MTV alternative music show. I couldn't really tell you what turned me on to Massive Attack, but, you have the kind of menacing, tricky rumble in this. There's so many samples and strange noises in this, they're drawing from, same wells that the KLF drew from, they're just throat singing samples, and there's all sorts of just sonic strangeness in this. It's really low key, but I would use the term menace again. There's just kind of rumbling kind of anxiety about the song. It's a tiny bit horny even. It's just I don't even know what you would really classify. So it's just quote unquote trip hop, but beyond that, other than just an amazing, life-altering record, this whole record is great. It's got Tracy Thorn all over it, the gal from Everything But the Girl. Tricky's on a couple of tracks. Tricky even re-recorded this because he wrote the rap lyrics, the lyric part to this. He actually even re-recorded this on his debut album, and that version's a little different. It's good too. It's been endlessly remixed, endlessly sampled. I couldn't say enough good things about this, personally.
Yeah, I like Massive Attack. I've listened to Blue Lines and Mezzanine a bunch of times. I think I've only listened to Protection once, and I liked it, but for whatever reason, I've never gone back to it yet. Though I have listened to the song Protection a bunch, which is also great. But that's kind of how I am with Massive Attack. I gravitate towards some of their albums more than I do others. So maybe I should give this one another listen because it's been a while, DJ.
Well, Mezzanine is, Mezzanine's probably their best. And I think this record probably gets overlooked a little bit in light of that. But yeah, I mean, it's just like there's like industrial beats. I don't know. It's just such a. I probably could have picked like 3. I could have picked Protection even. I really like Protection a lot. I felt that was kind of like a safe, simple choice, and I wanted something a little deeper than that. When I discovered these guys and I worked my way back, it just felt like I was like mining riches. Like I just kept endlessly coming. I was like, Blue Lines is great in its own way. Like I say, Mezzanine's probably their best. It's another band where, honestly, if you got like a best of, I wouldn't always recommend doing that. But if you got a best of for Massive Attack, I think that would give you like such a good overview of their catalog. That wouldn't be a bad thing. It's just another really important band to 15-year-old DJ.
Mm-hmm. And as far as Tricky goes, I only know him from his work with Massive Attack. I put on Max and Quay for the first time a few months ago, and it didn't really grab me all that much.
But, I don't. I would agree with that. I mean, it's not something I go back to. Certainly not as much as like I would Massive Attack. I like Tricky. I think I like Tricky singles more than I do. Like I like Max and Quay in general is like it's fine. He kind of produced that when he was on the outs with Massive Attack, and he was kind of like, hey, give me money so I can go off and do my own thing. And they were kind of like, hey, you know what? Fine. And, probably for the best that there was a bit of a parting of ways there. I think he felt kind of hemmed in. I think they felt kind of like, hey, you're not at our beck and call when we need you. So, maybe that parting of the ways that probably made sense there. But yeah, I'd probably agree. And Max and Quay is maybe not as easy to get into as Mezzanine, certainly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also know him. I also know him from his role as Gary Oldman's henchman in The Fifth Element.
Of course, yes.
Spoiler alert, he plays the guy who gets blown up at the airport phone booth.
That's true.
And at the time, I had no idea he was a musician. I just thought he was some actor. So, that's tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, all right, my next pick here. This is a band with a rather funny name, but they also made one of my favorite albums ever. This band is called Prefab Sprout. This is from '85, and in the UK, the album is called Steve McQueen. Yep. In the US, it's called Two Wheels Good, but I call it Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
So let's play a song called Appetite.
Hunger howls, hunger's red, hunger stays till it's fed, then it somehow fades, then it somehow leaves your side, depending on its appetite, depending on your appetite. So if you take, then put back good. If you steal, be Robin Hood. If your eyes are wanting all you see, then I think I'll name you after me. So if you take, then put back good. If you steal, be Robin Hood. If your eyes are wanting all you see, then I think I'll name you after me. I think I'll call you Appetite.
Yeah, this is another Desert Island album for me.
Yeah.
I could listen to this album until the end of time, and I'll always love it. If somebody asks me, what's an album that I might not have heard of that I should listen to, my first answer would likely be Steve McQueen by Prefab Sprout. Just the pop craftsmanship on display, and the harmonies, and the melodies, and the lyrics. Here she is with two small problems, and the best part of the blame, wishing she could call him Heartache, but it's not a boy's name. If you grew up to be, just like him, just like me, you're fighting for exclusive rights, for honeymoons each sleepless night. It's not disposable 80s pop. It's meant to make you think and feel, damn it. But yeah, I could have picked any number of songs from this album. Fair and Young, Moving the River, When Love Breaks Down, Bonnie. It's one for the ages, DJ.
So when you sent me your list of songs, this was the second one. This was the one after Mother's Talk, where again, Prefab Sprout, Steve McQueen specifically, had made my short list. And then I kind of knew that I was going to be in good hands. You see what I mean? This song, to me, I love Thomas Dolby. And Thomas Dolby is all over this thing. He's playing that beautiful synth. He arranged the song. I mean, you might as well call him a co-writer of the song. I mean, not exactly, pretty close. His tight production on this is just breathtaking. This is like this is like pop song perfection. And yes, it's not like disposable bubblegum pop either. It's about pregnancy. It's about, passing on, regret, but then hoping for something better. I don't know that there's any one song on this list between yours and mine. There's maybe one other song I think that would come close to this as a perfect pop song. And there's nothing wrong with pop songs. I think people have kind of a bad impression of pop sometimes just because it's often disposable. It's just, hook, chorus, go. And yeah, a lot of pop music is like that. Not this. This is something that you're really... I don't want to say it dates it in like a bad way because that makes it sound like it's anachronistic. I think this is something that has an 80s sound, but it could stand up to anything today because it has a timeless sound. I mean, it's just like, again, you cannot overstate Dolby's production on this and, the contribution he made here. You have these soaring harmonies. I cannot say enough good things about Prefab Sprout in general. Steve McQueen as an album is a beautiful record, and this is maybe the best track on it. I mean, it's a really strong choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Prefab Sprout, they had a pretty decent following in the UK.
Yeah.
They had a song called The King of Rock and Roll, which was a top 10 hit. But they never broke America, which is a shame because this album, I think, should be celebrated by everyone.
Yes.
And nowadays, the band is just one guy. It's Paddy McAloon, another great name there. He's the only one. And he hasn't toured in, I think, 25 years or so.
Wow. Because
he's got bad eyesight and bad hearing. But he should be proud of this one because he hit a real grand slam with this album, I think, DJ.
I fell into a YouTube hole, and Thomas Dolby came up on it. I guess he has. I'm not sure if he has a show or whatever. It was he had a channel, and it goes, Thomas Dolby spills the beans. I'm like, I wonder what he's going to spill the beans about. I click on it. It's like, tune in, next Wednesday, and I'm going to spill the beans. And I'm like, what on earth is this? So I tuned in next Wednesday obediently to see him spill the beans. The beans he spilled were that he had a toupee, and he wanted to tell you how you could get your own toupee and how it would boost your life and how it would make you feel better and more confident. And I unsubscribed from the Thomas Dolby channel. I did respect the hustle. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, She Blinded Me with Baldness is not as catchy a song, I don't think.
I swim with it, and it's perfectly natural. I mean, I feel better. I have more self-esteem, and it looks good too.
Mm-hmm. Science. All right. What's your next pick there, DJ?
I think it's something probably not dissimilar to Prefab Sprout. Prefab Sprout, excuse me. We're looking at Cupid and Psyche 85, which is going to kind of clue you into when this was recorded. This is A Little Knowledge by Scritti Politti.
Baby, I could see you when this is over. Maybe when our hearts are healed. Oh, day to behold. There'll be a day, lovers away. Call me and mend a broken heart. There'll be a time long after mine. He will call you and mend a broken heart. Not a lot to say now, except I miss you. Not a lot to take your place. Oh, in the heart of the boy.
of everything I picked, this is probably like the most unrelentingly unapologetic pop album out of anything I selected, and it's kind of designed that way on purpose. The lead singer is Green Side. The first record that they produce, it's a little more blue-eyed soul. It's a little funkier. It's good. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good. But I think he knew that to break through into America, that there needed to be like a lot heavier dose of pop. The first record has like, kind of like every British record from like, I don't know, 1979 to like 1983 has like, kind of a dub song, kind of a dance hall song. It had like a lot of that kind of noise. Cupid and Psyche doesn't really have a great deal of that. It's kind of veering more towards the sophistopop lane, if we were to name a silly genre. And it's still soulful, and that can get kind of, it really depends on who's producing something like that. Blue-eyed soul kind of gets tough, but I mean, this is pretty. They enlisted like Shaka Khan's producer for half of this record. It's pretty legit, and this is not like one of the singles off of this. People might know, Perfect Way. That's probably the big one. They might know, if they like listen to like 80s music, that's going to come up on any 80s, some kind of satellite station. Maybe Would Be's, maybe Absolute, and I like those songs a lot as well. Would Be's is really good. But this one particularly, the back and forth conversation he has, in concert, he just does both parts. On the record, it's with a woman singing the counterpoint part. This is another song that's a little horny, especially towards the end, in the lyrical content. I just find it another, maybe not as crunchy as the Prefab song as far as lyrical content goes, making you think. And I don't know if this is making you think all that much. But yeah, I mean, this is, to me, is just kind of the epitome of 1985 production and pop choice, to be perfectly honest. So,
yeah, I was shocked, stunned, thrown back in my seat to see Scritti Politti on your list here. I mean, of all the bands I could have guessed would be on it, I would not have guessed them. And I have to commend you for not taking the obvious route.
Yes. And
picking Perfect Way or Would Be's or Absolute or one of the other hits. You went with an SPDC, a Scritti Politti deep cut here. And I gotta say, I liked it. Cool. It's a nice love ballad, and it did make me want to check out the rest of the album, DJ.
Excellent. Later on, perhaps they fly a little too close to the pop sun. And the wings of pop perhaps don't prop them up. They have a couple of like comeback singles like circa 1991. I'm just like, I don't know. It's not really my thing, but I think this is their best record by far. And I'm glad you dug it. Hopefully you dig it when you take a listen to some of the album cuts. And no disrespect to like Perfect Way, no disrespect to Absolute. That's a tremendous song. There's a live performance of Would Be's where he's just kind of playing at a pub, and just like a real stripped down band, like just 2 or 3 guys, and like maybe 50 people in the audience, like screaming out, "Yeah, do the woo part." And it's really good. And I don't think they make pop music like this anymore, or if they do, I'm old and I don't really understand. And I don't know anything about it, so there you are.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering who is the female singer on this song, because she's really good, and it's a woman named B.J. Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Rate Your Music, she's done backing vocals for a bunch of big names: Duran Duran, George Benson, Robert Palmer, Billy Ocean, Joe Cocker, Al Green. So quite the resume there.
Yeah, just one of those veteran session singers. Like I said, he actually does both parts live, which I've always found kind of, well, I mean, maybe not every time. I've seen live performances where he does both parts, let's put it that way. And he just kind of pitches his voice high and just does it. And it's like, oh yeah, no, that works too. So it's kind of funny that he's having a conversation with himself if you catch one of those performances. It doesn't quite make sense, but it's like, it's fine.
Yeah, schizopolity, you might say. But all right, my next pick, I'm going to jump right over the 90s, and go to 2004. This is a band I played back on the One Count episode earlier in the year with Cola. This is a down-tempo band called 07, and they often had guest artists on their songs. This one features somebody named Sia. Sounds kind of familiar, I don't know. This album is called When It Falls, and this song is called Somersault. The song starts with the lines, "You're the prince to my ballerina, you feed other people's parking meters, you encourage the eating of ice cream, you would somersault in sand with me." I think we all want that kind of person in our lives, DJ, for sure. But yeah, I love that song. I love the album. Like a lot of down-tempo music, it's just really easy to listen to. It's very pleasant, no craziness going on, and this song, the blending of the R&B music and the strings with Sia's voice is a wonderful combination. I mean, when she's singing that chorus, "You put my feet back on the ground," I'm melting like butter, baby. 07, they only have a handful of albums, but this one's my favorite. So I'd say start with this one, if you don't know the band, DJ.
So, you absolutely blew me away with this song. I'll read verbatim from my notes. "You kind of dropped a bomb on me with this one. I had no prior knowledge of this band at all. Perhaps I had heard them on your show before. I had no idea who Sia is. I guess she's a big deal. No idea. My initial impression was that it kind of felt spacey, kind of a soulful vocal, kind of reminded me of Air a little tiny bit of Fiona Apple. She makes a real interesting choice on the feet part, where she, her voice just kind of warbles a little bit. And I listened to this probably 10 times in a row. I didn't go look for anything else because I wanted to concentrate on the songs that you sent me and that we were going to talk about. I wanted to be able to speak, somewhat extemporaneously about the music that we had selected. When we're done here, I'm going to go back and seek everything out. I was absolutely crushed by this. I really did listen to this over and over on repeat because I was just kind of blown away. I don't know if I'll seek out, we'll see what I end up seeking out. I don't know if I'll go down the Sia path or not. I took a cursory glance and I was like, I don't know if that's going to be the kind of thing I'm into, but this really kind of we have another song with cellos kind of adding legitimacy to the song. I mean, it's majestic, comes to mind, spacious, downbeat, like you said, but again, not in a bad way, not in a depressing way or anything like that. I was really blown away by this song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I listened to it first in 2013, just kind of randomly finding it, and I was blown away by it as well, especially with this song. And Sia, it's funny, I was listening to it the first time, and I was like, this singer is really good. Who is this? I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's Sia. I know her from the song Breathe Me, which was in the finale of 6 Feet Under. And then literally the next year, 2014, she puts out the song Chandelier and becomes this superstar with the wig over her face and everything like that. So I was ahead of the curve, you might say, and listening to Sia and being like, this gal's got the goods, so it's all because of me, maybe. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, you probably take a bow for that. I think the only contemporary artist one, that I could even name, and two, that I could possibly be ahead of the curve on would be like, I don't know, Gautier maybe. I heard him way before he had any kind of success. I heard him like back in, I don't know, maybe 2008 or something. I think probably like on the Stephen Merchant show or something. So that's like the only time, like my knowledge of anything like pop culture, pop music, pop anything probably dies roughly when I turn 25, 26. Whenever I stopped watching like late night TV, whenever I grew out of watching like SNL, whenever I stopped watching a lot of like, modern movies and stuff, my knowledge of anything new probably just falls off a shelf pretty much like around 2007, 2008. So there you are.
All right. What's your second to last pick there, DJ?
Oh yeah. I guess we're closing down to the end here. Another one where, some people classify this as grunge or Seattle music. It's not really either. We're looking at Angry Chair off of Dirt from the mighty Alice in Chains. I alluded to the idea that people call these guys grunge or what have you. This is not an album about flannel. This is not an album about gray skies or rain or any of the other things that would typically take up a Seattleite's mental bandwidth. This is an album about drugs. This is a song about drugs, and this is a dark song on a dark album about heroin and drugs. It's one of the songs that Lane Staley, the ex-lead singer, one of the lead singers of Alice, got to write himself. It's grippingly dark. It's supposedly, I guess I've seen some things attributed to it. So, it's about like, childhood depression and, the unfairness of, parents binding you with their rules. There's lyrical references to that, but no. It's about drugs. It's about being trapped in the prison of your own making that drugs causes. It's something that's obviously really personal to Lane because he was a heroin addict. I don't say that lightly. I mean, he would have said the same thing. This is a really dark record. It's not grunge. It's it's heavy metal. It's not alternative. It's not college music. It's none of those things. This is a heavy metal record from a heavy metal band or whatever. It's a heavy metal album and it's extremely dark. There's songs about Vietnam and PTSD on this album. There's a tribute to the lead singer of Mother Love Bone. So I got again, does that make it Seattle music or grunge? I have no idea. But this is an extremely dark record, and I think this is one of the best tracks off of it.
Yeah, you stole one of my album picks here. I had Dirt all ready to go. I had the shovel in my hand, and then you scooped in at the last second there.
Sorry.
But no, calling this album Dirt is so appropriate because it's an incredible album with a lot of good songs on it, but man, it's a downer. It is down in the dirt with the pain and the depression and the heroin needles and plenty of heroin needles, by the way. There's like 6 songs in a row about heroin.
It's real grim. Just on and on.
Yeah, Junkhead. Yeah. It's real grim. I mean, you hear Lane's howling and vocal inflections. There's a real honest pain going on there. And him and Mike Starr, the bassist, will both eventually die from overdoses. Yeah. So, yeah, great album, but not a pick-me-up, that's for sure, DJ.
No, it's not. But it's a powerful record. It is definitely unsettling. It could even be hard to listen to if you kind of concentrate on the fact that heroin is going to take the lives of two of the band members. I like Jerry Cantrell well enough. I haven't really listened to a lot of post Lane, Alice in Chains. It's hard for me, and I can't really bring myself to do it. No disrespect to Jerry Cantrell. I'm sure they're a fine band in the modern time. It's just I don't need that in particular. I don't need Alice in Chains version 2 that badly, if you see what I mean. I can listen to this. And none more appropriate for a name. Sure, it's really dark, like you said. There's like really 5 or 6 tracks in a row just directly interfacing with drugs. And you said that Lane howling. That's exactly right. This is like a primal scream, basically. We were talking about Shout earlier, which is not even like metatextual. It's just text being a primal scream. This is a primal scream as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to pick Rain When I Die, which is also not a happy tune. But yeah, Them Bones is on here, Wood, Rooster, Down the Hole. So it's kind of similar to Radiohead and the Bends, where the first album, Facelift, has Man in the Box, which is their most well-known song, but the next album has a greater amount of well-known songs.
Right.
DJ.
And Them Bones, I mean, again, that's dark. That's a bop, though. I mean, that's a pretty hard driving. That's a great song. That's a really good record.
Yeah, it's in GTA San Andreas.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
where I
absolutely.
first heard it. So yeah. All right, my second to last pick here. This is another band I've gushed about on the show before. Seen them live plenty of times. This is Gorillaz. And I went with a song off of their 2005 album Demon Days, featuring De La Soul. Should be pretty obvious what this is. This is their big song. Of course, it's Feel Good Inc.
It is taking falling down. Love forever, love is free. Let's turn forever, you and me. Windmill for the land. If everybody in. Laughing gas, these hazmats, fast cat, lining them up like ass crack. Ladies, ponies at the track. It's my chocolate attack. Shit, I'm stepping in harder this year. Yeah, been repping in harder this year. Watch me as I gravitate. Ha 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 ha. Yo, we gon' ghost town, this Motown with your sound. You in the blink, gon' bite the dust, can't fight with us. With your sound, you kill the ink. So don't stop, get it, until you chat it. Head and watch the way I navigate.
So I don't think I need to explain all that much why this song is great. We've all heard it a million times at this point. But this one is pretty important to me. It's the first Gorillaz song I ever heard, which I'm sure it was for a lot of people, because it was everywhere. And I fell in love with it. The guy laughing and the feel good and the windmill for the land. Young Andrew was digging it. So this was my gateway into the band, which I now love, but it was also one of the first hip-hop songs I remember liking. This and They Reminisce Over You by Pete Rock and CL Smooth. And I didn't know who De La Soul were at the time, but I like the way that guy said, "This is my chocolate attack," and watch me as I navigate, ha 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 ha, like all of that stuck with me. So I've since listened to the whole album a lot. I love other songs on it, like Kids with Guns and Dirty Harry, All Alone, Dare, and so forth. But I'll always have a soft spot for Feel Good Inc., because it makes me feel good, you might say, DJ.
So there's a couple of things about this for me. First of all, obviously the song is great. Gorillaz are really good at incorporating guest acts. Particularly in the video here, De La Soul come off really menacing. They're projected on screens and like they're laughing and they're just this huge presence in the song. And the song's kind of like low key itself. It's kind of like, music business kind of sucks. And then, suddenly like, De La Soul are projected on these screens and, the Gorillaz characters are interacting with it and kind of like running away and stuff. So there's that aspect of it. Another song that springs to mind just off the top of my head is like Stylo is really good, where they're really good. Mm-hmm. That incorporates like Bobby Womack, Mos Def, or just they slot right in. That's really a strength of Damon Albarn to kind of just crowbar in acts. The thing I think that interests me about Gorillaz, it's kind of that Muppet kayfabe where we have this social construct where we all agree that, oh yeah, the Gorillaz are a band, and it's like I find that kind of fascinating on the one hand, and then the other thing that fascinates me about Gorillaz isn't so much Damon Albarn. I like Blur just fine. If you're like, hey, do you like Oasis or Blur? I'd be like one of those dumb contrarian people. I'll be like, I like Pulp or whatever. But I didn't come to Gorillaz because of that. I had listened to their first EP. I came to them because of Jamie Hewlett. And the reason being, Jamie Hewlett's one of my favorite artists. He's a comic book artist. And I guess maybe people would know him for a flop movie in America called Tank Girl.
Tank Girl, yeah.
A movie no one cares about. And honestly, it's not that great, but the actual source material for Tank Girl is incredible. His art, anything you've ever seen with Gorillaz is just permeated with his art. His artistic style is really unique, kind of like graffiti art meets traditional comic book art. He cut his teeth on 2000 AD, which is where you get like Judge Dredd from. He eventually co-created Tank Girl. That's probably the thing he's most famous for, I guess. Amongst comic book circles, he's much more famous. Obviously, the thing he's most famous for is Gorillaz at this point. But he's gone on. I think the London Olympics had him do design work. He is just a creative force that is unparalleled. So that always really intrigued me. This virtual band, co-designed by Jamie Hewlett. It's just like him and Damon Albarn. Like I guess they became like flatmates or something, and they just started like, hey, it'd be cool. Let's make up a fake band, and they started putting it together. And then it's just like this massive, huge thing. And the videos are so inventive. The music is so inventive. It's not, you can like watch like it's not even dampened by like Albarn going on to like Jules Holland and like Jules Holland sloppily playing like piano over a song. Even that can't like stop like just the greatness of a Gorillaz track. Gorillaz are great. I mean, it's just a fabulous construct. I really have a lot of time for the whole act.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite bands, and I remember the first time I saw them live. It was on the Humans tour in 2017, and they didn't play Feel Good Inc. And it was an awesome show, but it was kind of disappointing. But the other times I've seen them, they did play it with De La Soul live on stage.
Oh, wow.
And I realized, this song should really only be played with De La Soul live on stage. Because they add so much more energy and fun to the performance. Like, when Maceo does the laugh at the start, the crowd goes nuts.
Yeah.
And they're going, if you got your hands in the air, then clap them motherfuckers. Then clap them motherfuckers. Then clap them motherfuckers. It's fantastic. So, they got a new album coming out next year. And if they're touring, I'm going to try to see them. And hopefully get to see them play this song again live. We'll see.
That's cool.
So.
That's super cool.
But, all right, DJ, what's your last pick of the episode?
Now that I look at it, it's possibly one of the more safe choices. It's probably one of the most influential records on here. I know I keep saying that, but, I really did pick, albums of great importance. This is Doolittle. You all know this song. This is Monkey Gone to Heaven by the Pixies. this is an album. It was almost impossible for me to narrow it down to one track. Black Francis, Frank Black, let's be honest. He right in front of you, he's figuring out how to take that kind of that surf rock kind of punk sound and make it commercial right before your ears. It's like vibrant and affecting. The whole album is just really hooky. It's structured really well. Like it kind of just forces you down the path that he wants you to take. I remember I bought this as a CD single. This is like this album comes out in 1989. I bought this probably when I was like maybe 15 or so. So this has probably been like 95, 96. I bought it as a CD single, and I think the reason I narrowed it down to this particular track was just to tell this little story. Went to the record store, bought this as a CD single because that's what I bought some other stuff. I'd budgeted out for this, and I was always one of those kind of like mother hen, telling my friends, don't buy an album unless you like, at least 3 of the singles off of it. And obviously I was familiar with this record from, the repeated radio play. But I had CD singles were never a good value, especially compared to the CD. I picked this up. It was probably like $5 or $6. The extremely judgmental, clerk at the CD counter was like, you should probably just buy the whole album. And I was kind of like, whatever. He was absolutely right. I probably should have just bought the whole album, obviously. But, sometimes, you're 15, you're 16, you're already spending, $20 and you only got another $5 and you don't want to make that choice. So I bought the CD single. Later, I kind of studied for a little while in between college and high school. Kind of did like a little bit of comparative religious study, not for any real reason other than just like kind of interest in mythology, like to improve my own writing and so forth. So obviously when you're exposed to a little bit of that, you come back and you see like the Hebraic numerology all over the song. It's like 1989, so it's like really steeped in environmentalism a little bit. It's really, if you didn't live through it, and I did, but I didn't come to it until then, but it's kind of like hard to explain if you hadn't really lived through this, how just massive the Pixies were as far as influence goes. Obviously, they never really scorched the charts or anything like that, but they're your favorite band's favorite band without a doubt. You know what I mean? It's just like this is just such a titanic record. This is a wonderful example of why, and it really shows like the kind of the tightness of production that Frank Black would kind of develop. I really like his solo stuff too, but I mean it's really hard to beat Doolittle.
Yeah, similar to Weezer, I don't go deep with Pixies.
Yeah.
They are hometown heroes. They're from Boston.
Sure.
But I like their radio stuff, the singles and all that. And Doolittle, I mean, yeah, everybody considers this to be the seminal album of theirs because it's got this, Debaser, Here Comes Your Man, Wave of Mutilation, and, Kurt Cobain said it was one of his favorite albums.
Right.
In fact, a lot of bands cite, these guys as influences, including Radiohead and Alice in Chains, who we played earlier. So yeah, score one for the Boston Brigade, DJ.
I almost went to Debaser, but then I was like, did the listeners really want to hear about Chin Andalou over and over again? And I was like, maybe we don't need to talk about that. But yeah, no, I mean, this is just a wonderful record. And, if you decide to venture down that path, I mean, Doolittle is a really good place to start. There are people that are more into the Pixies than I am. My wife, for instance, has... I think they have it's not really bootlegs or official releases, but they're kind of couched as bootlegs for like tours from like every stop on like a particular tour. I know she has like a shelf that like there must be like half a foot of various concert stops on it. So there are people that are way more into the Pixies than me. But yeah, no, I mean it's just impossible to deny a song like this, an album like this, a band like that. So.
Mm-hmm. I'm also amazed, there was a time where I was becoming aware of Pixies and looking at their albums. And at the time, they had only done 4 albums: Surfer Rosa, Doolittle, Bossa Nova, and Trompe Le Monde, which was in 91.
Yeah.
And then they finally put out a new album in 2014.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, this is pretty wild. The new Pixies album, finally. And then they put out another album. And another. And another. They put out 5 albums in the past decade.
Yeah, that's like Weezer. That's like Weezer. Once they came back, they just started cranking it out. It's like, oh, man.
Yeah, they made up for lost time. That's for sure. So, yeah. All right, my last pick. This is a duo that is no longer active. They broke up a couple of years ago. This is a band called Ms. Mister, or MSMR, as Brian Alvarez would call them. And they only did 2 albums, so this is their last album. It's from 2015, and it's called How Does It Feel? And this song is the opener. It's called Painted. So I discovered Ms. Mister the old-fashioned way by watching the trailer for Game of Thrones Season 3. It had a song of theirs called Bones. And I was like, I like this song. I want to hear more of this band. So I listened to their first album, Secondhand Rapture. Thought it was pretty good. Then the second album came out, and I loved it. It's that modern synth pop that isn't too light. There's still some edge, still some oomph to it. But it also still has these really catchy hooks and melodies that hit me right in the endorphins there. So this is one of my more obscure picks of the episode, but it's no less recommended, DJ.
Well, my initial impression of it, I kind of was just like, well, this sounds kind of like a Eurodance song from like 1991, injected into like 2010 something. Particularly the the dun 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 dun.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really my thing, but I will say this. It sounded a lot better to me on headphones. Particularly the overlaid voices kind of hit a little bit harder. So it's not my thing, but that's totally okay. It's like, I'm sure for like the youth, the youth of the world probably really, I'm sure the kids who like that song really like it. And it's probably a bit frenetic and energetic for an old man like me, but I can see the value of it. But my initial impression was just kind of like, oh yeah, it's kind of like someone listened to like London Beat circa 1990, and then like they kind of transplanted it to 2013 or what have you. So yeah, it didn't really grab me, but it's nothing wrong with that. It didn't have to grab me.
That's fine. I'll bring enough love for the both of us. How about that? So,
what a downer! I don't want to leave the show on such a downer. I'm sorry.
Well, it's kind of a downer anyway because, like I said, they only did 2 albums and then called it quits. And they took a long hiatus in 2017, and then they came back with a new single in 2023. And it was like, oh boy, here we go, more new music on the way from Ms. Mister. And then they said, yeah, this is our last thing ever as Ms. Mister. The band is officially over. So I have to cherish the sacred Ms. Mister tapes for as long as I can. There's so few of them around, DJ. So
you have to listen to those 2 albums repeatedly forever to keep the memory alive.
Absolutely. But all right. Yeah, those were our picks. That was the episode. Not an easy episode to plan for because there were so many choices to go with. Just looking at a list I have of albums that weren't talked about. What's the Story of Morning Glory by Oasis, Rio by Duran Duran, Led Zeppelin 2, Metallica Ride the Lightning, It takes a nation of millions to hold us back. But
I almost picked that. I almost picked it, and I felt like two super white guys talking about it. I felt kind of gauche, but I honestly was on my short list. I almost picked it, and I chickened out. I was a coward.
Yeah, we're both cowards. Don't worry.
Yes.
21 by Adele, Riot by Paramore, Regatta de Blanc by the Police,
Paramore, yeah.
Like a Virgin by Madonna, Elton John's self-titled, just so many great second albums out there. We're not neglecting them out of malice. There's just only so many picks to make. But regardless, this was a really fun episode. And DJ, you had a great debut here, man.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say. You would not believe the amount of fretting I did over my selections. And I'm sure I probably overwhelmed you when I sent you my list with, 2 or 3 paragraphs about you're just like, hey, what are your song choices? And I came back to you with like pages of notes and, oh, here's this. And here, I know this thing. Pick me. I'm smart. Look, I'm clever. I know stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's fine. But yeah, again, great job, man, on your first go around here. Any plugs you want to give? Go right ahead.
Well, let's see. I'm the world's worst at SEO. My blog, where you can find me, it's very lazy. I typically write about Dynamite every week, and then not a lot else. I should probably do more with it. You can find me at lazonamuerta.net. If that's too difficult for you to figure out, just go to my Bluesky, which is DJ Convoy. .bsky.social. That's got links to La Zona Muerta. That's got links to my DeviantArt page. I draw a lot of dumb wrestling fan art, a lot of dumb comic book fan art. One of these days, if I'm not lazy, La Zona Muerta will have more writing in it besides just like a lame Dynamite review. That's really kind of a vestigial leftover from my days working for the F4W board, where I was I guess if I have any internet fame, I guess I'm famous for being a, longtime member of that and a mod there, and the guy who recapped WOL every single day and wrote recaps about it and quoted obscure song lyrics and did dumb drawings and stuff. I've carried that energy over to my tens and tens of readers over at my SEO resistant website. So yeah, by all means, follow me there.
All right, cool. Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. All the great shows on there. Voicesofwrestling.com for the previews, reviews, articles, things like that. Bluesky at Music of the Mat and at Just Andrew on Bluesky. If you want to leave a comment about this episode, share your picks. Voicesofwrestling.com/Discord. That's also where I post the Spotify playlist for each episode. Make sure you subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, your podcast player of choice. Leave a nice rating and review. And a couple of weeks ago, I did the delightful Alan Forel's ProRes Paradise podcast on PW Torch. We did an episode of his What's on the Telly series, talking about some November wrestling TV shows. I picked an episode of Monday Night Raw from 2003, which was also the first wrestling show I ever went to as a kid.
Oh, wow.
And Alan picked an episode of AEW Rampage from 2021, which had the CM Punk Eddie Kingston face-off on it. So, yeah, it was a great time with Alan, as always. He's not just a really good friend, but also a really damn good host as well, steering us through this little look back in time there. So, again, PW Torch, it's on the VIP section of it. So if you subscribe to that, then check that one out, please. All right, the playout song for today. This is one of the albums on my short list. I was real close to picking it, but it just barely missed the cut. This is an album by a pair of French robots named Daft Punk. It's called Discovery, and this is one of the big singles off of it. This is Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. Thanks again, DJ.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I really appreciate it.
Ever after work is over, work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. we better do it faster. Makes us stronger than ever.
Music of the Mad is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The songs used throughout this show are property of their respective copyright holders.
My name is Tyler Fornes, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungy AEW podcast here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. We take a broad scope approach to the world of All Elite Wrestling and the entire universe of Tony Khan. We talk about the big matches, the big stars, the promos, the storylines. And we also look at it from a big picture perspective. How are things going to change over the course of the next 10 years with AEW still in the picture? How are companies like WWE going to adapt and adjust to AEW? Are they going to be a similar way like they did with WCW in the late 1990s? Will there be a counterpunch? We talk about all of that and more on The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy every week on the Voice of Wrestling Network.
Hello, do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care. Go to Dutch.com to get vet care that is always there for just $92 a year.